This, of course, is a very short video update. This concerns the hullabaloo that's gone on about Blackpool Lane. I found this a very glaring oversight in both the investigation, actually all the news, down to the local news. Fact is, the route that was actually traveled by Nicola most of the time was nowhere near the field with the river and with the Wyre. It was actually Blackpool Lane, which I found very strange, and I also found it unusual, is what I'll say at this time, that Paul Ansel Limited, or Ansel Limited Company, that's very tied to all these financial transactions, and that Paul Ansel is involved with, is linked directly to the news, the newspapers, or similar things dealing with Blackpool Lane. I found this strange. I think it's worth talking about. Thank you. Why do they not explain that there is no CCTV footage found on Blackpool Lane, where Nicola Bulley enters and exits every day during her walk routine? So in other words, she didn't go into the fields as people are claiming. She went all the time, according to a lot of eyewitnesses and certain footage captured on camera, down a specific walk, on Blackpool Lane. They keep asking for the dash cam footage from Garstang Lane, which is Garstang Road, on the other side of the Wyre. Again, and my question is, why is that? The CCTV footage that has to be a part of the evidence to determine the truth of what happened, right? The truth, the whole true story, needs to be actual surveillance footage from Blackpool Lane. Thank you. Is evidence backs up the fact and suggests that Paul Ansel has developed some kind of relationship or financial relationship with the Blackpool Gazette. I'd like to know why. I don't know what's going on beyond that. I would love to know why he has that sort of relationship. And then here it is. This part I was going to include in the video because it's direct inferred evidence of something kind of unusual. The most obvious thing for me has always been the river. It's always been my gut instinct that it couldn't be the case, right? Extensive searching, as you know, is probably well aware has gone on in that river. The fact that the divers and underwater rescue team and all that were in that river on that day found absolutely nothing. Therefore, we can all rest easy. Well, again, I find that strange. I find that strange. How does he know that she's 100% not in the river? And that's all I'll say about that, How does he know that? So this is the Lancs Live, or Lancaster Live, I guess or Lancashire live kind of media letter that covers certain areas in what's known as the Blackpool area of Lancashire, England. Blackpool is a seaside town located in Lancashire. The town is perhaps best known for being home to Blackpool football, the Blackpool Pleasure Club, and Blackpool Tower. Blackpool has the largest population of any town in the county and is the most popular seaside resort in the United Kingdom. Right? So this is the area where a lot of people would come who were tourists or who perhaps had financial interests in newspapers. Okay, folks? And so the important point of why we're going here is I want you to see this is Blackpool Lane where we see some very kind of odd structures. Houses here have the windows entirely blacked out, like was shown kind of in an earlier video. But this is very different because this is directly on Blackpool Lane, where certain things likely would have taken place. All right, and what I'm pointing out again is the fact that Blackpool Lane is not covered by bloggers, by the people who are on TikTok, by media personalities or people in the media, okay, is something that's been very concerning for me for a while. Because when we look here, we see, St. Michael's Garage and the Blackpool Gazette was one of the most infamous papers that covered, right, all of the activities that occurred on Blackpool Lane. So when we look here, we see kind of some strange architecture, right? Buildings which you can't immediately explain, how long they've been there, why they might be there, right? And as far as that goes, who is going through Blackpool Lane all the time? What type of people are here? And the reason that I'm here right now on this kind of short video is I'm showing you, okay, the real, actual, official path that that Nicola would take all the time. Every day, she would not go into the fields or go down by the river, as a lot of the media is claiming. She would take Blackpool Lane. It's been confirmed now. At least on a lot of her trips, she would go down what's known as Blackpool Lane. And so then we see here, the grapes distillery, or the grapes, market, and things like that. Seems fairly normal. So now, now we've confirmed some things that are very important, and some real information here that needs to be taken closely into account. This is where she would travel all the time on her trips. Fresh flowers, get some extra needed resources from the ATM, and she would go down Blackpool Lane. Now they're talking all the time in the reports and the media and so on that they captured CCTV footage, right? From various areas that are clear across this part of the United Kingdom. They're in a totally different area of Lancashire, right? And that's very concerning, because that means they literally wasted, right, possibly all of their time getting footage and CCTV camera footage of different places, because apparently, allegedly now, going by news articles, they never actually went to Blackpool Lane. And Blackpool Lane here, right, this is where we see the tour bus. Interesting kind of tour bus for ballage storage and similar things. And I'm just giving you kind of a short tour of Blackpool Lane, because I've seen some concerning issues on Blackpool Lane. I've seen some suspicious activity there, for sure. And it's like, what I question again is, why was this never brought up in the media anywhere? Why did the police choose to ignore Blackpool Lane for the most part, this is the area where she would travel all the time, right here. It's on Blackpool Lane. And then the other question that comes into the picture there, folks, is the Blackpool Gazette is one of the largest papers for all the activities that happen here near this side of the Wyre on Blackpool Lane. And Paul Ansel, right? Paul Ansel's company, Paul Ansel Limited, was, it appears, at least directly involved with the news, or in some way tied to the news, dealing with Blackpool Lane. I'm not clear on exactly what that means yet. I'm not giving you any hint that I believe that this is kind of like Chris Watts or anything like this. But again, it's very, very odd that Paul Ansel is directly tied to any of this, and I don't discount the fact at all that he's probably involved, even if he was not the person who did the deed and completed all of this. He's probably likely involved, because it concerns me, as it should concern people, I would say, that Paul Ansel is seemingly financially tied to some of the actual news reporters or some of the actual newspapers. Thank you. Now, as you know, I've been studying for a while this so-called idea of CCTV footage. And the issue and problem with that, as I discovered, folks, when the evidence was truly examined, is the CCTV footage that should have been sought out and acquired was on Blackpool Lane. Therefore, the CCTV footage that has been acquired and taken in for this so-called investigation, which is a very open investigation, would be utterly useless. Either useless or possible that it might be a redirection. What do I mean by that? Well, people have put words in my mouth before saying I was directly naming Paul Ansel, for example, as a suspect. But again, folks, I follow only where the evidence leads. The facts and the evidence show that the Blackpool Gazette, who Paul Ansel did a lot of work with, are the ones who cover all of the news officially on Blackpool Lane. My question is very simple. Why did not Lancashire police, or even just people in the area in general, acquire the actual CCTV footage from the correct area, which is Blackpool Lane, to be exact, right? Where Nicola Bulley was seen walking all the time. Not just at the time when allegedly she would have gone to the river, but all the time, every day, okay? Following where the evidence leans is not always the most comfortable scenario. Based upon evidence I was able to dig up, Paul Ansel's company, Paul Ansel Limited, apparently is what it's called, may have traded with these companies involved, specifically with WCL, which is owned by Mr. Toot. So I can't erase what my eyes see. What's in front of me is the fact that Paul Ansel has some things to answer for, because he has affiliation with the Blackpool Gazette, and he stated in his official statement to the Gazette that he felt perhaps, he said in his own words, I'm just paraphrasing, the phone and the leash for the dog and harness were placed on the bench as a decoy. Why did Paul Ansel make those statements to the Gazette and another paper on Blackpool Lane? That's my only question. Why would he make those statements? What would lead him to believe that it was indeed a decoy, as it were? Again, I repeat that. Why did he make those statements to the press? I'm not making the claim that Paul Ansel was directly involved. I'm asking the question. Why did Paul Ansel make those statements to the press? Did he know
Or did he have this idea that it was a decoy? Why make such a statement to the press? Again, I firmly believe that he was involved in this, even if he did not take out, clearly, Nicola. He benefited in some way financially, it seems, based upon first-hand evidence that started to be uncovered from Nicola's sudden disappearance from the real estate company. That's what matters to me. I ask again, why did Paul Ansel make this statement where he asked police and someone else, the leash and the phone was clearly placed there as a decoy, don't you think?
This is very concerning to me. It is the number one detail I wanted to make sure is emphasized in the video. The authorities who have retrieved CCTV footage retrieved them from Garstang, but they did not retrieve any from the actual area where Nicola Bulley would go to school all the time, and also similar walks that she would go on. That was the most important part of her personal life, which would be the footage on Blackpool Lane. It states, in the aerial view, cars crossed the bridge of Blackpool Lane in St. Michael's on the Wyre, which was not covered by CCTV on the day that Nicola Bulley went missing in Preston, England area. Police are continuing to look for the missing woman who disappeared while walking her dog along the banks of the River Wyre. In a press conference held this morning, Lancashire police stated Bulley is a high-risk missing person with specific vulnerabilities. There is no evidence of a criminal aspect or third-party involvement at this time. Footage by Christopher Furlong. So again, when you look at that, I'm glad I was able to locate this, to include this in the video. So, fact is, when you look at that, you see Blackpool Lane is a suspicious area. There's a lot of interesting things in that specific area that are not captured. I repeat, have not been captured on CCTV footage. And if you look at that, there's like almost a Gothic building that looks like a warehouse of some unusual type, off to the side. There's a number of hiding spots, clearly, in kind of the woodlands. And there's just some strange, real strange environments, to be honest, in this area of Blackpool Lane. And so I'd love to know why the superintendent actually and the person involved with the Blackpool Gazette would not release this footage, or that nobody actually thought to, check and confirm whether they received actual footage from Blackpool Lane. I think that's one of the most important details that's been entirely glossed over. There is something to this, and I certainly would not rule out Paul Ansel being connected with whatever that is, even if he did not, quote, hit her over the head with his own hands. I can't rule out the fact that he is certainly covering something up about this. I'd love to know. What are your thoughts? What do you think about Blackpool Lane? Is it unusual, for example, that this has never been included in any of the news reports or any of the broadcasts that have gone on? Of why, there isn't specific footage of Blackpool? Sound off.